Jeopardy turn. Good morning, everyone, and we are reconvening our Lucan Biddulph Council meeting for Tuesday, August the 13th. Council had a in-camera session to hear a solicitor client under the Municipal Act to get a solicitor client advice. So we have risen from closed session and staff has received direction on that. I would like to acknowledge that I am an ally of Indigenous peoples. The township of Lucan Biddulph is located on the treaty and traditional territory and ancestral lands of many Indigenous peoples and is covered by several Upper Canada treaties. We recognize and celebrate the contributions of Indigenous communities in our shared cultural heritage. Lucan Biddulph is now home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples and communities that have a unique relationship with its land and its resources and continue to shape the history and economy of the township. We recognize the role of that the Indigenous peoples have had in the development of our community. The contribution from Indigenous communities ensure the sharing of unique perspectives and traditional knowledge. The township recognizes the importance of consulting with our Indigenous neighbors and communities in an effort to build constructive, cooperative relationships through meaningful engagement and to inform our decision-making and to build partnerships. We acknowledge historic and ongoing injustices that Indigenous peoples endure in Canada, and we affirm our commitment to honoring Indigenous voices, nations, and cultures, and to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. Since we met in July, we have had 2 employees retire. We had announced the retirement of John Riddle earlier, and we were able to celebrate his retirement and his incredible 45 years of service to Lucan and Lucan Biddulph. And we did that in July with colleagues and friends. We have also accepted the retirement of Dick Juergens. Dick will be familiar to many in our community, having worked for the Arena and the Parks and Rec department for 31 years. I can't even begin to think about the immeasurable contribution that Dick has made to our facilities and our community. Countless hours maintaining and operating the community center, arena, and parks, and of course, preparing for community events. From community suppers, bingo nights, craft shows, to hockey tournaments, Dick has really seen it all. He has watched community members play minor sports, then move on to junior hockey, then into adult leagues, and return with their children to start it all over again. Baseball, hockey, soccer, volleyball, he has seen it all. The wealth of knowledge and the technical skills that Dick has have no doubt helped the facility with cost savings and operations over his 30 years on our team. His technical knowledge has been integral to hands-on training with employee development of new staff and summer students. Ask anyone who has worked with him. If there was a problem, Dick would be able to address it. And I know that, having had boys work at the facility. Dick always took the lead in the opening, closing, and operations of the Lucan pool. And Dick's hard work and his extensive knowledge of the pool allowed us to open the pool during recent construction, despite the obstacles that provided. I worked with Dick for many years when I was on Lucan minor hockey, and he was always a support to me. I'm sure when I came down the hall looking for him, he always thought, "Oh, what is she here to ask me for again?" But the highlight for me was during the under-17 hockey tournament, where we hosted teams from all over the world. And it would not have been the success that it was had Dick not supported it like he did. I cannot overstate how grateful I was during those days. While Dick would prefer that we keep the reflections of his employment to a minimum, it is important for the community to hear the value and commitment that he has provided over the years. I know, Darcy, you only had a little bit of time to work with him, but I'm sure that you can agree with everything that I've said. The community center and arena and all of our infrastructure in Parks and Rec is better for the commitment that Dick made to it. So to Dick, if you get the chance to watch this, thank you for your hard work and your commitment to our community. We really do wish you the best in your retirement. So we do have to go into a public meeting for planning. So I would like to ask for a mover and a seconder to move us into that to sit as the Committee of Adjustments at 6 minutes after 9. Councillor Hodgins and Deputy Mayor Manders, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, so we have one item in front of us today, and that's a minor variance for a property on Coursey Line. And at this point, I'll turn it over to you, Alyssa.
Through the chair to the mayor and members of committee, my name is Alyssa Soldo. I am a planner for Middlesex County, providing my professional planning services today for the township of Lucan Biddulph. The purpose and effect of the minor variance application before council is to construct a new accessory building southwest of the existing single detached dwelling on the property. The accessory building is to be used as a garage for larger equipment such as trailers and trucks. The applicant is seeking permission to exceed the maximum permitted height to 5.75 meters, whereas the zoning bylaw permits a maximum height of 4.0 meters. The subject property is a 3.6 acre lot situated in an agricultural area on the west side of Coursey Line, north of the intersection at McGilvery Drive and Coursey Line. The lands are legally described as part of Lot 19, Concession 2, Parts 1 to 4 on Reference Plan 33R-21887 in the Township of Lucan Biddulph, County of Middlesex, municipally known as 34851 Coursey Line. The property is occupied by an existing single-unit dwelling and 2 accessory buildings, being a detached garage and a pole barn. As council may recall, this property has previously undertaken an application for consent to adjust the property boundary on March 19th of this year and a zoning bylaw amendment on May 21st to rezone the portion of land transferred from the neighboring property to the subject lands. The property is designated agricultural under the official plan and is zoned special agricultural A2 zone in the zoning bylaw. The special agricultural zone does allow for residential and agricultural uses and their associated accessory uses. The lands are surrounded by agricultural lands used for crop production on all sides. I have reviewed the application against the 4 tests of the Planning Act. As indicated in the report, I am satisfied that the requested relief in height would not cause negative impacts to adjacent properties and meets these 4 tests of the Planning Act. No comments were received from the public or agencies during the circulation process. As such, I am recommending approval of minor variance application A6 2024. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for that, Alyssa. We do have the applicant online. Mr. Finch, did you have any comments to add at this time? Oh, you just have to unmute.
Is that better?
There we go. Yep.
I have no comments, but I can answer any questions that anybody may have.
Okay, thank you. If we can just can we turn the volume up? But I think Adam said he has no comments, but he's available for any clarifications. To the committee, are there any questions or anything on this application? Comments? Okay, then we do have I guess I would ask, is there any comments from the public? Okay, then we do have a recommended motion in front of us that the application for minor variance A6//2024 be granted. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It is lengthy, but the reasons have been stated in Alyssa's opinion, and anybody can go online to read the formal motion in our agenda. So with that, I would ask for a mover and a seconder for that motion. Councillor Regan and Councillor Hodgins. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Thanks for that, Alyssa. Thank you, Adam, for joining us.
Thank you.
Now I would ask for a mover and a seconder so that we rise from the committee and move into a public meeting at 10 minutes after 9. And we will be sitting under because of the drainage discussion. Councillor Regan and Councillor Westman, all in favor? And that's carried. We do have one item in front of us as a drainage discussion, and that is for the Nagel Drive 2024 drain. And at this point, I'll ask Armin to come up from Spreets to walk us through this portion of the meeting. Just press the button.
And everybody's.
Yep.
Okay, gotta hold it down or? Oh, we're good. Okay, thank you. Mayor, Council, thank you for having me here this morning. This is the Nagel Municipal Drain, is an existing municipal drain. This is a information meeting and to consider. This drain was originally constructed in 1955, consisted of an open drain across the corner property in lot 12, and then was a closed drain pretty well up to and across Roman line. To the east side of Roman line. And the existing drain actually came closer to the highway. Where drain on that drawing, if anybody has it in front of them, drain C is shown. Pretty well goes through the buildings, close to the highway, and then comes back down. The new proposal would bring the drain farther to the back behind the buildings. So we're proposing to reconstruct the open ditch, clean it out. And then a new tile drain would run from there over to Roman line, where the municipality had already put in a new surface pipe and subsurface crossing, and they would be incorporated as part of this project. There was also a petition for a new drain called Branch D, which would cross over into the Macomb and the Bach properties, with a stub branch, a second branch to the Macomb that would parallel the north side of Highway 4 or the east side of Highway 4 there. And also there's another ditch called Branch C that runs between the Harrigan and the Ontario Limited property up to the road. That culvert would be cleaned out. And then a small tile drain C2 would run parallel to the road across the driveway, Harrigan's driveway, with a catch basin on the other side, and some minor clean out done on the road. There would be a new farm culvert, the old one taken out, and a new farm culvert in a better location to cross the drain would be installed on the Ontario Limit property on the open ditch. The work with the MTO would include a bore plus some work on cleaning the culvert on drain C, and also doing some ditching in that area. So we still have to get the application into the MTO. That's become a very onerous process. They now want total geotech, and the costs for that are, I mean, they pay for them, but they're still extensive. But it's also a time factor because it seems all the geotech firms are pretty busy, and we're not getting this stuff back very quickly. And then it has to go to the MTO for their comments, whatever changes they want. So to get that, hopefully by the time this is tendered and we have a contractor ready to go, that permit will be received on that. The total cost of the project is about $275,000, of which a little over 100 is to the MTO. And then the roads and the utilities have another amount there of about $13,000. And then the rest is to the landowners. The agricultural properties get a grant of 1/3. The residential properties don't, but excuse me, the assessments there are fairly low, and there are also allowances given to the properties that have work done for damages in right of way. So in the schedule of net assessment that everybody received, it shows the total gross assessments and then the approximate net. If everything went according to our estimate, then the net figures is what would be payable. We hope the way things are going that the drain, the final cost of the drain would be slightly lower. But our prices are based on very conservative pricing. We don't, more or less list pricing. So we're hoping with competitive tenders that, and it usually does on a larger job like this. It's only smaller jobs sometimes where you exceed. So at this point, I'll open it up to questions from council and any affected landowners or anyone else.
Okay, thank you for that, Ren, appreciate it. At this point, any landowners that are in attendance this morning, if anybody wants to come up and make comment, now would be the time. I would recognize you with your hand up and then direct you. Okay, I'll ask again, any questions or comments from members of the public or affected landowners? Okay, any questions from members of council on this? Guess I would just have one, just since you referenced the timeline. What do you think the timeline will be, like taking MTO out of it?
Well, the way, just even from a contractor's standpoint, so the consideration, so you're going to be quarter revision probably sometime in September. So tenders would probably go beginning of October. And I'm just thinking at that time, probably the dates from the contractors will probably be early next year, I would think. Unless somebody's got no work and the weather's good, then maybe they may. And the other, the requisite permissions are there. Now, I'm just going to say this, if there's an issue with the MTO that it takes longer, there is quite a bit of that drain that could be built without that branch being done right away too, depending on the contractor's ability. And so if there is but probably next spring.
Okay, thank you for that. And yet we do have a court of revision date for September 17th. Okay. If there is no discussion on this, then we do have a recommended motion in front of us that the drainage report for the Nagle Drive 2024 as prepared by Street and Associates dated June 12th, 2024 be received and adopted, and that the first sitting of the Court of Revision on behalf of the Nagle Drain 2024 be scheduled for September 17th, 2024 at 6:30. Mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Regan and Deputy Mayor Manders. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. And then I would ask for a motion to adjourn our public meeting at 18 minutes after 9 a.m. and reconvene our regular session. Deputy Mayor Manders and Councillor Regan, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we do have a couple of delegations with it for us this morning. And at this point, I would like to welcome to the speakers podium, Laura Ross and Megan Hartman from Big Brothers and Big Sisters of South Huron. Don't take that as,
Well, thank you. So we're here from Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Huron. I'm Laura Ross. I'm the volunteer coordinator.
I'm Megan Hartman and I'm the mentoring coordinator.
We're here just to share a little bit about our programs, what we offer in terms of programs and services to the community, as well as the supports that we hope that we can get from all of our communities. The first thing I want to start with is our name is a little deceiving. Although it's South Huron is in our name, our service area is quite large. If you look at the bookmark that was in the brochure, it does have a map on the back. So our service area, we come to Lucan, to Park Hill, Elsie Craig, Grand Bend, Bayfield, Clinton, Seaforth, Exeter, and then everywhere in between. So we are working on our name a little bit. It is hard sometimes when we come to areas like this, when you hear South Huron, you assume Exeter, but it is quite large. So our mission at Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Huron is to enable life-changing mentoring relationships to ignite power and potential of young people, with the vision that all young people have an opportunity to realize their full potential. So we do that with all of the programs that we offer to our families. So Megan's going to talk a little bit about those.
So we have 4 main programs at Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Huron. All these programs are open to children and youth aged 6 to 18 years old. And they're all offered free of charge to our families and littles in the program. And right now we currently have 44 littles waiting to be matched in our service area. So our 4 main programs include traditional mentoring. So this one's our community-based program where activities can be done in the home environment of our volunteers or within the community doing outings with their little. We provide match support and match activities for them to do throughout their time with us. And we offer a variety of different matches. So we've got our big brother and our big sister matches. We've got cross-gender matches, so a big sister with a little brother, big family or couples for kids. We also in-school mentoring. So in-school mentoring is a school-based program that happens on school property. So it can be in the school or out on the playground. This is 1 hour a week for the school year. So they're not volunteering during the summertime with their little. And we provide activity bins to all of our volunteers in the in-school mentoring program. We also offer Big Bunch. So this is an 8-week session for a group of littles that are on our waiting list. We plan activities that are facilitated by agency staff, and then volunteers help to run this program as well. We also offer 1-day trip in the summertime for our littles to attend, as well as our volunteers, and then our pool party / summer barbecue for our families and volunteers as well to come out and hang out with each other. And our last program that we offer is our Go Girls Healthy Bodies, Healthy Mind, and our Game On program. So these are group mentoring programs that are offered in our local schools. So we try to hit all the schools throughout our time. Obviously, we can't hit all of them because we service 23 schools. So we try to bounce around so we're not just staying in one spot. So these programs are offered to students in grade 5 to 8. And through non-traditional physical activity, these programs are designed to help students through active living, healthy eating, and feeling good, so self-esteem, self-confidence. And then we also offer family support. So we provide backpacks to our littles for back to school. And then we also run an Adopt a Child program around Christmas time, where littles get to put their wish list on ornaments and they get set around the community, and community members buy gifts for them, and then we pack them for Christmas time. But those are our programs that we offer at Big Brothers Big Sisters.
So part of why we wanted to come today too is September is Big Brothers Big Sisters month. So we are an agency under Big Brothers Big Sisters of Canada. Although we are our own agency, you will see throughout September different things happening across the country and hopefully locally. Usually the CN Tower is changed to teal. Niagara Falls is also lit up teal. So those are some things that you'll see. You will also see locally from us, lots of social media and community presence during the month, just to share more about what we do. All of those programs that Megan spoke about can only run with volunteers. So we're always looking for more volunteers, whether it be coming on as a big to be matched with a little, whether traditional or in school. We also have many events happening throughout the different communities. Barbecues, we have craft shows. We just hosted our very first golf tournament. And then we also have the Little Shop, which is a children's consignment shop in Exeter that is run by 2 co-managers as well as volunteers. And we have about almost 80 volunteers across the agency that help support all of the work that we do, and we'd not be able to do any of that without them. As well as in the brochure and the bookmarks, if can be shared, or if you're ever interested in any volunteer opportunities, you can reach out that way. The last thing we just want to touch on a little bit is our fundraising and financial things. So like I said, we are with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Canada. However, a big misconception is that we are funded by them. We don't receive any core funding from them at all. We actually pay membership fees to be a part of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Canada. So I know that's a big piece that everyone assumes we do get funding from them. 96.5% of our funding comes from fundraisers, grants, community and individual donations, and then the Little Shop as well. We do get 3.5% from the Ministry of Education that goes towards specifically to the school-based programs that we run. That is dependent on how many programs and how many children we serve in the previous year. And with that, our next big fundraiser that is coming up is our Harvesting Hope event, which is our large dinner and online auction that is coming up in September on the 27th. So that's everything. Thank you for having us. I mean, our biggest actually ask, I guess, would be that if you help to share that we're here and just that we are in the community, and if there are ever any littles that are interested in needing the program, to reach out, as well as anyone who's looking for volunteer opportunities.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much for coming in, Laura and Megan. We really do appreciate it. I will open it up for questions and comments from council, but I would suggest maybe grabbing Lisa's business card, because certainly she's the one that is our communications officer and can share anything that, you know, is appropriate to our community and your organization for sure. Deputy Mayor Manders.
Yeah, just a couple questions. I went to a volunteer recognition celebration there at where was that again? At the
Bad Apple.
Bad Apple, yeah. So it's really good. Your name is deceiving. You know, I mean, I thought I was going there in support of just thank South Huron for the service area and on behalf of Lucan Biddulph, to be honest. So it's, yeah, what do I know? So it's, yeah, so it is crazy. So I think, you know, I think it's important again, our best way to get the information out to our community it would be through Lisa, through social media, and then ideally other people sharing. But a couple quick questions. Lucan, is there a waiting list right now for Lucan, and how many are involved in Lucan? That's one question.
We do have a few on our waiting list that are Lucan area.
Yeah.
We were in the last 2 school years. We've been at Wilberforce with our in-school programs, both in-school mentoring. We had about 5 in-school mentors over the last 2 years, as well as our Go Girls program. So that was one program this past year of Go Girls. So it was 8 participants in that.
Oh, good. And then the Summerfest, you were there. I saw I had a booth there. You know, I think that awareness is always going to help, obviously, in the community. So, and maybe you've been there before and I missed you at different events in Lucan, but is that kind of the first time, you know, setting up a booth in Lucan that, you know, I believe you're somewhat new to the organization, but
yes, I've been there for about a year.
Yeah.
That was the first time that we've been at anything in Lucan. This past year, a big part of my role has been getting out into the community. We are realizing that our name is deceiving. So coming here, trying to get out into all of our service area has been a big part of this summer, especially, and where we're going.
yeah. And I think the auction, and hopefully Lisa will, you know, I really think that, you know, I think we should promote, you know, the your fundraising events, but we need to, the language needs to be, I think people think, oh, you know, which is great, we're supporting the Big Brother and Sisters of South Huron, but you know, that it is a Lucan Biddulph service area. I think we really need to make sure we tag that in everything we do so that they realize they're, you know, supporting the kids of Lucan Biddulph also in needing help. So yeah, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from council?
No, actually,
Councillor Regan?
that was the question I was gonna ask about the involvement with Lucan Biddulph, and of course, the name. Of course, it's just people need to know that that service is available. So, and again, you've already mentioned a touch base with Lisa about getting the word out there. So, okay, that was it. So, thank you.
Councillor Hodgins?
Thank you. Thanks for the information. It's great to learn more about this. And yeah, I'd also encourage, you know, if we can post on the social media to promote what you're doing, that's great. I just wanted to ask, I guess, how do the littles or the kids get involved with this typically? Like, could you just comment on that process?
So littles that come on, like family wise, like for our community programs, families, refer them, or the school will refer the family to talk to us. School-based programs though, the principal refers the kids or the school themselves. So the resource teacher, the teachers. But just getting our name out again is how people refer themselves to our programming. And then we do intakes for our littles as well.
Okay, thank you. So it's for youth that like don't have as much opportunities, like through their families, maybe they don't have the financial needs, or maybe just like the parental support. Is that sort of the target?
So one thing we like to say is that any child that needs a mentor gets a mentor. So typically in the past, you may have known Big Brothers, Big Sisters, initially as Big Brothers for those in single parent families. That's not really the case anymore. Definitely any child that is needing extra support from a mentor. Some families that maybe parents just aren't able to get out into the community, whether it be physically or health-wise, things like that. It provides the child someone to go out and do things with, go to events, that sort of thing. So our families are all different makeups and needs and all of that kind of thing. So it's sort of, if you feel like a child may need it, reach out to us and then we can go from there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Westman?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. Just curious about the mentors and like, would be training available? Obviously, I would imagine there's quite a regimented training to make sure everyone's consistent and vetting processes, VSS vetting and all that. So what would be involved for a volunteer as far as training and the commitment?
Absolutely. So when someone's interested, typically they start with our inquiry form, which is on our website. That will come to me. And then I reach out and there is an application. It is quite long. It's something that we can do together if we need to. It's not meant to be daunting, but it does ask quite a few questions. We then have an interview process with the volunteer. And then they are asked to provide references as well as police record checks and CAS checks. Once all that goes through, then we do have agency specific training that we do with them around developmental relationships, child safety training, things like that. And then they're matched based on location, personality, best fit, that sort of thing. And then ongoing, we have match monitoring that Megan does. So check-ins with them, with the families and with the children as well, at different intervals throughout their time together, as well as providing trainings for our volunteers based on what they're feeling they need at that time. So we've done a few around online safety lately is kind of the big push. So things like that.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, well, thank you again for coming today. It was great, lots of great information. And we certainly wish you the best of luck in supporting the kids in your catchment area. And anything that we can do to promote, we'll certainly do that. Okay, thanks very much. Okay, our second delegation is Anders Carson, and he is the VP of the Ontario branch of the CPAA, and he's joining us via Zoom, just connecting now. And I know the TV's, yeah, there he is. Mr. Carson, if you can unmute and if you're ready, there you are.
Thank you very much, Council.
Okay,
Fantastic.
I'll turn it, just hold on one second, Mr. Carson. Is there a way to turn the volume? Oh. Okay. Okay, I think we're better now.
Is it better now? Can you hear me
No,
now?
just
Do you want-
one sec.
Okay.
We're just trying to adjust the volume on our end so that we can hear, but it's on our end, so
Okay.
don't worry. Okay. All right, let's try that again, Mr. Carson.
Hi, I can speak louder if that would help, Council.
No,
Is it? No, it's not
it's
happening.
not coming. Hold on one
maybe
sec.
Maybe if I try this, would that help?
No. It is definitely on our end.
Hi, does that help at all or no?
There we go.
There.
It's yeah. It is on our end. It
Okay.
is on our end. We've got that fixed. So we're good to go. Thank you for your patience. And I'll
Thank you
turn it
for your
over
patience.
to you, Mr. Carson.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Anders Carson, and I'm the Vice President for the Ontario Canadian Postmasters and Assistants Association. So I'm it's an association that's over 100 years old, and one of our, I'm the head of the committee to try to help keep rural post offices open in all across Ontario. And I know that unfortunately it came to an end, and I know it's temporary. There's a temporary closure of the Granton Post Office, and I know the boxes went up in a location that might not be the best suitable for the constituents. But there was a list of possible places. I was in contact with the local area manager, and there was a list of possible places that they might want to entertain the thought of either negotiating for a lease or purchasing of the property itself. But what they had said to me is that real estate wants them to investigate the top few possible viable sites before they assign a broker to go and look. So I don't know if there's been any update. The last that I got from him was at the end of May, and I know I was going to meet with your council in July, but that couldn't happen because I had a chance to go and see my kids who live overseas. And now I'm back, and I was wondering if there's been any update and all, if there's anything that I can do to help try to bring the Granton Post Office back into the community.
I'm looking to our staff, and there has been no update at this end.
Okay. So if there's been no update at this end, I wanted to ask council if it would be okay if I spoke with the corporation. I have a list of possible sites, including, I know it's on Granton Line Road, the old Mason's Lodge. Maybe there might be a spot on that property, and was wondering if there was any sites that are a township property that they would be willing to lease a portion of. Have they reached out to you at all about that?
So staff has been in contact and has done a lot of work with Canada Post at this point. And I believe I will turn it over to Jeff to speak to that. But really, it is like this is out of the municipality's hands at this stage. Like this is a Canada Post decision. But Jeff, I'll turn it over to you for comment.
Yeah, just for an update, Madam Mayor. So we did look at alternate sites. But I'll be honest, those sites are for the mailboxes that have been installed on Granton Line. I'm certainly not investigating anything further than a location for the boxes that are currently temporary. And we're continuing to work with that. There's a number of different criteria to work with, and I have been in contact with Canada Post on some of their, they won't they won't go that there's solid rules, but they have suggestions that make a better location than not. Such as lighting and access for walking and that sort of thing. So they have recommendations, but no solid guidelines. So we've been in discussions with that. We have put forward a couple of locations that unfortunately haven't been successful, and we're still going to try and follow up with that.
Okay, Mr. Carson.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for that update. I wanted to share with all of you is that I used to be a local counselor in our community, and I remember that we had this same challenge when a post office was coming up for a renewal for their lease. And what happened in our community is there was two things that happened. Is that post office was a group post office, meaning that it was the person who was the postmaster that needed to provide the premise for the post office. What's different in this case is that the Granton post office is something that's called a grade office, which means Canada Post really needs to find a new location for the post office. And I know that we felt on council at the time, we felt that, oh, it's out of our hands because it's Canada Post and they're federal and we're, municipal. It's all municipal affairs, but we had far more say than we thought we did. And if you decide as a council to say, no, we think that you should still keep looking at trying to find a post office for the Granton community. Because as I said, it wasn't, there are three different kinds of post offices. The grade ones that I was telling you about, where Canada Post is the one who provides the lease and they pay the lease and they pay the rent or they own the property. Then there's a group one where it's sometimes in somebody's house or in a place of business. And then there's the other ones that we know of that are in Shoppers Drug Marts or a Jean Coutu in Quebec or in that kind of and it's more like a dealer. But what you have in your community, or what you still have, because it's temporary, they didn't say permanent, is that it's a grade office. And that's where the cards that you have are on, that you are holding the cards as saying, no, we would like that for our community. So that was if there's a take-home message that you, after I speak today is definitely that you have the power. If you say to the Canada Post that, no, I still think we should look at the option of the post office, because they're the ones who are supposed to provide it. That's why I wanted to speak to council today.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Carson. Any questions or comments from council at this time? Councillor Regan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not sure who to ask. I'm just asking just a point of clarification. So the post office, the post office was closed on a temporary basis, was what I'm understanding, and that they're going to reestablish that same service at some other location. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that.
That was the messaging that came from Canada Post.
But there was no timeline given on that right now. So the status of that right now is just that we're still waiting for Canada Post to make that decision. So another point of clarification is that Canada Post are the ones that will be making those decisions. It is not, and again, I'm not passing the buck. I'm just saying it's not in the purview of this council to make that decision. We may have a say, but we don't make that decision on that. We would like to see that. I don't know. I don't think we can pressure, if that's the word, Canada Post, not that I want to, but I know that people in Granton are very anxious about having that service returned. That's my impression. So I'm just wondering if there's any timelines, but I do understand correctly that it is something that will be established by Canada Post. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wasn't sure who to.
No, that's a correct assessment. Councillor Westman.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. Hello again, Anders. Nice to see you. I feel I can speak on behalf of the people of the Granton area when I say that we desperately want to have our post office back. It would be preferable that people need that service for various reasons, and the desire of our community there is that we have our post office back. So that's coming from the people direct.
Okay, thank you for that comment. Any other comments from council? Well, thank you very much for your time and presentation, Mr. Carson. I can tell you that, as I said at the beginning, that our staff has been in contact with Canada Post, and at this point, the communication line is in Canada Post's corner, and I'm sure that we'll be continue to be updated as they work through the process, whether it's I mean, they have to essentially find a better location. That's the hope for at least the boxes. And then is if they are successful in finding a more permanent solution. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Council.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks. Okay. Moving on to the minutes, we have 3 sets of special meeting minutes and a set of regular meeting minutes in front of us. And if nothing needs to be amended or updated, I would ask for a motion to approve those as circulated. Councillor Regan and Councillor Hodgins, all in favor, and that's carried. On to business arising. As per our last meeting, there is the branding and logo development has been added to the business arising. Did council want to add anything else? Okay, on to correspondence. As always, there's a number of items that we've received, and our staff has pulled one letter from Upper Thames for discussion. Ron?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, excuse me. The letter is fairly self-explanatory. I think what the collective mayors who contribute towards the budget for the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority are very concerned with the downloading of costs to the municipalities and the freezing or the provincial directive freezing the rates that the ABCA charges for certain items has adversely impacted their budget. And when it adversely impacts their budget, it adversely impacts our budget. So again, it's fairly straightforward. I think there's a suggested motion or suggested letter in the package there that they are looking for council's endorsement towards. So thank you.
Hey, questions or comments? Just as an update, Middlesex Center dealt with this letter, their council meeting last week, and they put forth the sample motion that was provided, and Thames Center will be dealing with the request at their council meeting in September. Comments or questions from council? Councillor Hodgins?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to voice my full support for this. By freezing the permit fees, it is just downloading the costs onto municipalities. And I don't think it's going to make a big difference in the overall housing goals of the province. So I would like to, if we have to move a motion to issue the response, and I'd happily move that.
Okay, just looking for that sample motion. You see, it's on page 27, so I think it's the last page of that package. So essentially, you want the sample motion, which would be that the council for the municipality of Lucan Biddulph support the request initiated by the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority with respect to reversing the decision of the Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry of Ontario, and that's Minister Graydon Smith, to freeze the fees conservation authorities can charge in regard to planning, development, and permitting fees, and that the mayor for the council of the municipality of Lucan Biddulph be authorized to sign on to a letter of support prepared on behalf of the elected leaders of the municipalities of the Upper Thames watershed.
Yes, so I would move that motion.
All right, so that motion moved by Councillor Hodgins. I saw Councillor Regan's hand seconded. And to support that, is there discussion on that motion presented? All in favor? And that's carried, and staff can distribute accordingly. Thank you. Thanks for that. Was there any, oh, shoot. Were there any other items of correspondence that council wanted to speak to? Councillor Regan.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much. Number 6, the OPP letter to municipalities. If I'm understanding it right, says the OPP Municipal Policing Bureau will issue 2025 annual billing statements in the fall based on estimates of the impact of the new collective agreement. I'm just wondering what impact that would have on our costs here in this community.
Okay.
If we know that, if not to put you on the spot, Ron, but if you happen to know.
Well, sorry, through the mayor to Councillor Regan, we will find out those costs soon enough. I think everybody's aware of the new contract that the OPP have signed, so there will be a financial impact to us. The extent of that financial impact won't be known until we actually get the numbers, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as what I had originally thought. But again, I can't say until we actually see the number. So we will find that out.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Were there any other items that council want to speak to? Councillor Hodgson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, just item number 1 regarding the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund. So we were not successful in getting the grant funding, so just wanted to see if we got any comments from staff on that, next steps, and whether we'll be looking at the second intake.
So through the mayor to, excuse me, through the mayor to Councillor Hodgins. Yeah, very disappointing that we didn't get that. I really thought we had a good shot at it. There's no real silver lining to this one, other than the premier has announced a round 2 of HEWSF funding. That is actually opening tomorrow, which is interesting because to my knowledge, as of last night, we still didn't have any details about what the second round would entail. So we are trying to find out more details as to, was there anything wrong? Were we missing anything in the original application? So our consultant, Lisa Courtney, is exploring that, as are we. We will be going to AMO next week, so we will be asking the same questions then. So in regards to this, so we will be trying for round 2. We are also in the process of working with the county to submit the round 2 funding for the Housing Accelerator Fund as well.
Thank you.
Any other comments on correspondence item number 1, Councillor Regan?
So I'm kind of frustrated with that. And I'm just going to say it's because our community has done absolutely everything that we're supposed to do. And it's okay, I guess, to say, no, we didn't get the grant. But I think what's even more frustrating, especially as somebody that you're supposed to get, I've spent my entire life giving people feedback, is you're not telling anybody why. And that's very, very frustrating for me, saying, like, why did we not get that? Did we miss something? But again, it's just, and then there's again round 2. So I mean, we've got hope for that as well. But anyway, that's just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on that? Yeah, Councillor Hodgins.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, just in the kind of the closing paragraph of that letter, they do say that we can ask some questions about our assessment. So I think, it's important that we get that as much information as we can from the ministry in how our evaluation, where it was scored, low, or why we weren't successful, just so that we can.
You reached out to that, Trevor, didn't you?
Sorry, through Madam Mayor. Yes, Mr. Fleck is on holidays for the next 2 weeks. So it's a little difficult to get answers, and hey, everybody's entitled to holidays, but it just it kind of hits a nerve when somebody sends a letter like this and then is gone. So again, we are trying to dig deeper. We have Lisa Courtney from BM Ross has reached out through this HEWS@ontario.ca email address for those answers. So.
Hey, were there any other items of correspondence that were received that council wanted to speak to? Councillor Hodgins?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just items, I guess, 2 and 3 regarding the passing of the Middlesex County development charges. Just want to make sure, colleagues are aware of this, and it seems like it's coming into effect January 1st, 2025. So in addition to our local level development charges, county is going to be charging development charges related to roads and highways and studies associated with those roads and highways, I believe. So just over $5,000 for a single family home. So just something, I guess, to be aware of. And it seemed like there wasn't really a whole lot of opposition. I'm not sure, but unless Madam Mayor, you maybe saw more about the process, like.
So the public meeting, there were a couple of public participants that viewed like the meeting live. Of course, it was done virtually, so I mean, there's no way of telling who watched it back. But there were a couple of interested parties that watched it live. But there was no, there might have been maybe one clarification question asked. I can't remember, but no. Essentially, as you say, anything against the development charges. And then, of course, like the process we've gone through, there was a period where written comments could be submitted, and there were no written comments submitted. So, I think that I'd had a couple of offline discussions with developers across the county, and of course, again, it's another administrative piece. It's all of that sort of thing, but in the end, this is a toolbox this is a tool in municipalities' toolbox that the county hadn't been using. And there is a number of road projects that will be coming up that are quite significant, and that this can help. And these roads projects are all directly related to growth. There's no question. So again, it's just another tool that the county can use to help offset some of these costs. And as I said, there was no written comments. Okay. Any other comments or any other items for discussion? With that, then I would ask for a mover and a seconder to receive those items for information purposes. Councillor Regan and Councillor Westman. All in favor? And that's carried. On to committee reports. Blue Water.
We had a short meeting, but I just want to make, I guess, maybe when it gets out in the news, there might be some confusion, but there is a plastic line cups like Starbucks and Tim Hortons being trialed for pickup in Toronto only. So ours are still to go in the garbage, not recycled, with the hope that by 2026, it'll be all across Ontario. So that's exciting news, and hopefully that will be across Ontario in 2026. But as people obviously visit Toronto, and maybe that's on the news, it may be confusing. So I just thought I'd make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that that's probably a indicator of now manufacturers being responsible for recycling and that sort of thing. So that's great. Any questions on that? Councillor Hodgins?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a comment. I always find these reports really interesting from Blue Water Recycling Association. And it's like, it's got like a global perspective on a lot of things. So one article or one item in there I did find interesting was the in Denmark, where there's a carbon tax to be applied to livestock. So, $100 a cow you pay for the methane emissions. So I thought that was really interesting. It is, I like how they have like that global kind of view on that. So always interesting reads there, just a comment.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, just because again, that's certainly not discussed at our meetings. I find it interesting too to read, but it's certainly, we don't, we discussed obviously the Tim Hortons, potential problems and that, but we didn't discuss, but I found that interesting too. But it's interesting, they're called the BRA notes, but we definitely didn't talk about that. But I found it interesting too. So, yeah.
I thought the one item that I found interesting was the bottle deposit and how much of a difference that would make to recycling if we offered that. So just something to maybe watch again in years if that comes back, sort of thing. Okay, CEDC.
Madam Mayor, I already made my report at our last council meeting, but we do have the minutes have now been posted for May 29th and June 26th. For
Okay.
those that wish to look, and if there's any questions, I can answer those.
Thank you. As Councillor Regan said, he did speak to that, but were there any questions or comments? Okay, nothing from Lake Huron. Fire board. There's 3 sets of minutes there from the advisory committee and from Biddulph Blanchard. I believe one is formal, the other 2 are still draft. And any questions certainly could be directed to.
Yes, exactly.
ABCA.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Not too much to report from the previous meeting held on July 18th. Just we went over the regular development reviews and the violations and the second quarter profit and loss statement, but not much to report to council.
I might just say I was at an event last week with ALUS, which is ALUS, which is an environmental group that works with rural landowners, primarily in the agricultural department or agricultural community, that works with rehabilitating lands, taking them back to their natural habitats and that sort of thing. And anyways, they spoke quite highly of the relationship they have with ABCA. So pass that along. Parks and Recreation.
Madam Mayor, I reported last council meeting on the Parks and Rec activity for the last meeting. The minutes have now been provided and I can answer any questions if anyone has any.
Any questions, comments? Thank you. Thank you very much. On to staff reports. We have 2 reports in front of us that I guess I will turn over to Tina to take us through.
Thank you. It's through you, Madam Mayor and members of council. The first report here deals with, it's kind of a housekeeping amendment. It deals with a delegation of powers and duties policy that is required by municipalities under the Municipal Act. Some of the things listed in the chart, there is quite a lot there and you might find it a little bit onerous, but the important thing here is this is, for the most part, things that staff already undertake within the municipality, but the policy formally delegates those powers from council to staff. It does speak to, it is a policy that's been looked at by many municipalities recently and updated. So the county had recently done one, Thames Center and Middlesex Center. So we did have some good acts to kind of follow there and make sure that, and then it was obviously tailored to what speaks to Lucan Biddulph, because there are some positions here, like obviously planning is dealt with at the county level. Building, well, we do have, but is dealt with primarily through Middlesex Center. The other thing, the chart doesn't specifically refer to deputy treasurer and deputy clerk in most roles, but as stated in the report, it's just important to note that those roles are delegated from the clerk or the treasurer in the absence of them. So they do have authority to perform those things if need be. And other than that, if there's any questions, I will try and answer or ask Ron to assist.
Okay, questions on this policy and the report that Tina has presented? Nothing? Okay. Then the bylaw will be brought forward at our next meeting, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we'll approve the policy at this point, and then the bylaw will formally adopt it at the next meeting. Okay.
All right, so we have a recommended motion in front of us that report CL-07-2024 be received for information and that council approve the attached draft delegation of powers and duties policy and consolidate chart appendix A, and further that staff be directed to bring forward a bylaw at the next regular council meeting to adopt the policy. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Regan and Deputy Mayor Manders. Any further discussion or any Last chance. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay.
Thank you. And the second report here deals with some renewals of the lease and operating agreement for the Lucan Area Heritage Museum at 171 Main. So that property is owned by the municipality and leased to the Lucan Area Heritage. When it was formed or built and opened in, I believe, 2008 or 2009, there was contributing parties, so the Lions Club, as well as the township and the Heritage Society. So there is another agreement there that just speaks to the contributions that were made and the artifacts within the building and what would happen if there was the lease was to be looked at or terminated and how those funds would be dealt with. So it was a 10-year lease. The last time it was done is 2014. And staff did meet with members from both the Heritage Society and the Lions Club to review both things. As well, the lease was sent to our township solicitor, and the Heritage Society as well met with their council to review it. And we started that in the spring, and so we're just finally at a point with where we can bring it back and everybody's ready to sign it. So if there's any questions, we can try and answer.
Questions on this? Councillor Hodgins?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm just trying to clarify or better understand the Lions Club, their role in it. Like they contributed to the original build, or just what's their relationship in this in these agreements?
I'll let Ron answer that since he was here.
If I may, Madam Mayor, through you to Councillor Hodges. So the Lions Club originally purchased the old Grand Central Hotel site. So they were the initial purchasers of the property, then they transferred it to the municipality, and then the museum was built on the site. So that's sort of the contributions of all three parties. But theirs was the original purchase of the property itself.
Okay, thank you. So I guess, are they still like, are they still involved now, or is like, since they transferred that, are they sort of, is it now between the municipality and the Heritage Society?
How do I answer that? I would say their role in this whole thing is they still have a monetary stake in that property, I guess you could say. So I think if the Lucan Area Heritage Society made a decision that they can't operate the museum anymore, they don't have enough staff, or they just don't want to do it anymore, and things were to be dissolved, this agreement allows the money to be recovered and submitted back to the Lions Club. So I think as far as, I don't believe they have any operating role. They may still give them a grant at some point similar to what we do, but I don't believe they have an active role in the operation of the museum at this point.
Okay, thanks.
I guess to that point, so why does the Lions Club still have to be on the lease agreement?
If the museum ceased to exist and the property was to be disposed, they would want their portion of the money back.
Gotcha. Understood. Okay. Any further questions on?
I would just add paragraph 5 in the operating agreement speaks to what costs are reimbursed specifically to the Lions Club, and it is regarding the cost incurred to purchase the land.
Okay, thank you for that. So you've got the recommended motion in front of us, that this report be received and that council approve the lease agreement between the Township of Lucan Biddulph and Lucan and Area Heritage Society. And further, that council approve the operating agreement between the Township of Lucan Biddulph, the Lucan Area Heritage Society, and the Lucan District Lions Club. And further, that the mayor and the clerk be authorized to sign and seal all necessary documents. Mover and a seconder for that, please. Deputy Mayor Manders and Councillor Westman. All in favor? And that's carried. We do not, Any verbal reports?
Just a quick one. I think I did speak earlier that the annual AMO conference is in Ottawa next week. The council members who are going, Councillor Regan, the deputy mayor, and the mayor and myself have 4 meetings. The first one being with the Ministry of Infrastructure. I think at that one, we're going to express our disappointment at not receiving any funding with regards to our sewage treatment plant, one that we have been actively pursuing for, I would say, the last 4 or 5 years. The second one is with the Ministry of Transportation. Number 1, to talk about the extension of the connecting link at the south end of Lucan, and also about the waiver or certainly a reduction in the amount of license sticker fees for our trucks that maintain the roads, for example, snowplows. And then we also have 2 meetings, one with the Ontario NDP caucus and the leader, Merritt Stiles, and last but not least, the Ontario Liberal caucus with leader Bonnie Crombie. So we have four meetings arranged for the AMO conference. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any questions for Ron? Tina, did you have anything verbal to add?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. We do not have anything from building and bylaw. Catherine, finance.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. I have the an information report today for the second quarter of the budget versus actual for 2024. These are the operating results for the first half of the year. So if you think we should be around 50% in our budget, of course, there's some seasonality involved with that. And I don't really have anything to highlight that wasn't already discussed in our first quarter report, but the information is there for you to look at. And if you ever have any questions or want any more details, you're more than welcome to come and see me or send me an email, and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Any questions or comments on Catherine's report? Okay, with that, if I can get a mover and a seconder to receive that report for information, please. Councillor Hodgins and Councillor Regan. All in favor? That's carried. Planning's been dealt with. Public Works, Jeff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have one report in front of council, and it comes to council because we do have a repair that is needed at the Granton wastewater treatment plant. And it is not, it wasn't highlighted in the budget process. So I just want to make sure council was aware of my request for this repair. The background is that this is a very similar report to the one I issued in 2021. We have an ongoing repair that with the RBC system in Granton, that with the flows that come into the plant, the first rack of fins take the abuse as the flows come in. It handles most of the greases and oils, and the stress on those fins cause them to break down. And it looks like this is my second repair and since I've been here. So it looks like about every 3 years this repair is going to come due. It's not, we did note that in the 2021 report as well. So the Aqua did receive a quote from Hannah Environmental Equipment. They are the experts in Ontario for fixing this type of system. The quote came in at $64,413.08 plus HST. This is up from the 2021 fix of a quote that came in at $53,000 in 2021 from Hannah Environmental Equipment as well. Aqua has not been able to secure a second quote for this, as Hannah is the expert in this system. And as I explained at the start, this is not in the 2024 budget, although it is a capital repair that we would be funding from the wastewater reserve fund to pay for this. So I'll leave it up to council.
Okay, thank you for that. Jeff, questions or comments from council? Councillor Westman.
Yeah, this continues to concern me because it's being caused essentially by fats, oils and grease. Is it not?
Yeah, I
It's a
mean,
bigger-
this is the flows that come in. These are the fins that take that. Yep.
All right, I'm just wondering, like, we have been talking about doing education, furthering education with residents to let them know, you know, what should and should not go down the drain. I would really like to see that bumped up and get something out to them fairly soon, because this is an ongoing, very costly thing to have. And in my time on the Upper Thames and the Sawville Bayfield, there was they had some resources available to help educate as well. And I know Aqua does for sure. So I'm wondering if we can't draw from those resources and maybe do a little bit of a information blitz over the next little while, just to kind of help people remember because we do have the cups available. We've done that part, and I think it'd be great to continue that education on an ongoing basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Westman. But is this repair strictly related to the fats, oil and grease, or is it the nature of the plant?
Yeah, I think it's the nature of the plant more. We have, just to give a little more background, we have been trying to clamp down since I've been here. Aqua's done a job, been trying different activities to cut the fats that are coming into the system effect on the fins. So we've tried hot water cleaning, we've tried different chemical processes. So we are trying, it's just there will be always fats and greases coming into the system, and they always hit these front fins process. So we still continue the education. We have been doing that. I think that's still a very important part of this system, because the more we can control, maybe we get to push this repair back a little bit, but it's certainly, as we get to see these repairs, it's about every 3 years. Maybe in budget discussions, we can talk about more about this as not coming back to council when all of a sudden they break, but realizing that there is going to be this necessary repair on a regular basis.
Thank you. And I do appreciate your comments, Alex, Councillor Westman. I mean, it is important that the community do as much as they can to divert that. Other questions, Councillor Regan?
If I may, Madam Mayor, please. So I was just wondering with, I'm just sort of noticing more and more that we don't get a lot of companies that are responding to getting quotes from a lot of companies, not just with this, but I'm just wondering with this one, are there no other companies that do this, or is it just that we're not just, like I said, we're just not getting the bids or getting the interest? I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking about just the competition part of it, but I didn't know if that was, again, just an observation.
Yeah, and I think it's a combination of this system is not common. It's not a common system throughout through the province. There is these systems out here. Mount Burgess has one. So it's not that it's unseen. It's just that there's not a lot of companies that specialize in this system. So Hannah has been around and been doing it for a number of years, and because of that, they have pretty good market control in this area.
If I may, so I'm just asking, so as we go forward with this, I mean, as the plant gets older and older, is this going to be posing a problem for us? If we only have the one supplier, and then what happens if you don't, or a company or we don't have a company that can fix it anymore? I'm just wondering about that. And I'm thinking down the road, if that makes sense, no?
Yeah, at this time, I haven't heard of a concern that this is going to become obsolete. That this is fairly straightforward technology. Yeah, I can't guarantee that there's going to be more competition in the marketplace with a system that's really not being installed as much as what you take the Lucan wastewater treatment plant or other wastewater treatment plants that are going in. But at the same time, it's very basic and it's not being obsolete. I have no no information that this is going to go obsolete in 20 years or something along those lines. But I can say that the competition to repair this is not going to get any better.
Okay, I was just thoughts for future councils. Thank you.
Any other questions or clarifications on Jeff's report? Okay, then you do have a recommended motion in front of you, and I would ask for a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Westman and Councillor Reagan, all in favor, and that's carried. Did you have anything else verbal?
The only thing, Madam Mayor, I'll just touch on is the Rawlings drain. We did touch on it last council. I did give the information to council on that. There's a motion at the end for the Rawlings drain.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Darcy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My report before you is on the ice allocation policy. I feel this is a very important policy to have in place going forward for the future. My report went into depth about how we came about it and what we're looking for out of it. We have had great communication with all the ice user groups throughout, and we've had a couple revisions, some feedback, and we feel we've came up with a good ice allocation policy that so far I've got positive feedback. So I just want to get it through council, and glad to take any questions.
That's great. So this means that if we pass it, all user groups will be happy.
I have no comment.
No, but I appreciate the background in engaging with the user groups as you have, and coming up with a policy that reflects the conversations that you've had. So questions or comments from council, Deputy Mayor Mander.
Just wondering currently on the primetime ice, the Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. to, is it primetime ice? Or yeah, just how many hours right now would be available of primetime ice for this like winter?
0.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Reagan.
So thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks. Darcy, I just wanted to say thank you for doing this. It was very comprehensive. I think people are going to really appreciate the fact that we've got this in place. And to echo the mayor, I'm glad everybody's happy. So I'm going to take that. Yeah. Well, I'm just glad. Yes. I think Darcy was going to say that too, but no. And again, I appreciate it because I do hear that from time to time just about that, but I'm glad that we've had this in place. I'm glad we had everybody involved in it. And again, I'm sure people are going to be happy or happier about it. So thank you for that work. I appreciate it.
Councillor Hodgins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'd echo the comments from others. Just thanks for bringing this forward and for engaging the user groups through the process. I just wanted to clarify that when it comes to the annual determination of the allocation, that will be done at the staff level, at the director level, and it's not something that has to come back to council for approval. Is that correct?
To you, Madam Mayor. Yes, that is correct. It'll be done at the staff level. I just wanted the policy done through council so they have a heads up of how we are allocating the ice, but from here on in, it'll be done at the staff level.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? I don't know whether it's a comment for now or at budget time, as our user groups, as they expand their memberships. Has there been any thought of additional fees for out of municipality registrants?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Are you talking as far as registrants on minor hockey or renters? So renters that would rent our ice would pay us?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming renter from out, if they're, they would pay whatever fee. They're not paying a subsidized fee. But I know, I'm looking, and maybe this is again more of a budget discussion, but as they grow, putting essentially an additional fee, and whether that is done through the municipality or through the either minor hockey or skating. I mean, our user groups, minor hockey, skating, that sort of thing, they get that subsidized rate because it's recreational program for youth in our community. they're offering recreational programming to youth outside of our community, should there be an additional fee? I mean, I know for programming, if you take a program, let's say, you know, a cooking program at the PUC in London and you don't live in London, you have to pay an additional fee because you don't live in London. But this, as I say, this may be more of a budget discussion, but if there'd been any chat about.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. There has not been any chat. I would say as normal practice, we don't really go through the registrants of minor hockey to know where they live or where they're from. We just take their hours of ice and book it. So it would be a different practice. I'm not saying it can't be done, but as of right now, that wouldn't be the practice, or it hasn't been discussed to be the practice.
Okay, thank you. With that, if there are no further comments or questions on that, I guess maybe what else, before I do that, I was going to bring it up in council comments, but maybe I'll bring this up. The deputy mayor and I did meet with the president of minor hockey, and to the point of the pressures of our ice are becoming more and more tangible, I guess, as each season goes on, and certainly spoke quite highly of this policy. But just to keep in mind that there are pressures on our ice that our user groups are experiencing, and of course, and that's putting pressure on the operation of the facility. So as we grow and continue to grow. If there's no other comments, then you do have the recommended motion in front of you to approve the ice allocation policy as presented. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Regan and Councillor Hodgins, all in favor, and that's carried. Did you have anything else verbal, Darcy?
Yes, to you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple dates. We have the Parks and Rec Master Plan Open House on Thursday from 5 to 7 at the arena. It's just going to be set up in the lobby. People can stop by, and Monteith Brown will be hosting it. They'll have their people there to take any feedback or comments that the community has about the draft Parks and Rec Master Plan, so that they can work on the final draft master plan. So there's no requirement of staff or council to be there, but if anybody wants to drop in and just hear some of the conversation, they're more than welcome. And the other one is next week on Tuesday from 5 to 7, we'll be doing the All Wheels Park, Elm Street feedback and public consultation. So I believe that's going to be set up in the multi-purpose room, and it again is just an opportunity for people to come back and give their feedback on what they want to see in the All Wheels Park and how they would like it to be designed. So that is from 5 to 7 as well, and Canadian Ramp Company will be on site to do that one. So just a couple days.
Okay, thank you. Economic development, Lisa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I provided an activity report in council's package, just highlighting some of the recent work that the EDC committee has been doing, as well as myself with some different projects throughout the downtown. Just for information, if anyone has any questions, let me know.
Okay, thank you for that. Questions or comments on that? Okay, then if I could get a mover and a seconder to receive that report for information, please. Deputy Mayor Manders and Councillor Hodgins, all in favor, and that's carried. Thank you very much. Councillor comments. Deputy Mayor Manders.
Just on the All Wheels Park on question, I guess, for Darcy and Jeff, are you guys working in conjunction at all on, there seems to be concerns on drainage and maybe where it's going to go from the sump pumps that outlet onto that area? Just wondering if that's going to be part of the installation drainage and solving that issue, or there isn't an issue and it's a myth, and or are you working with Public Works on that?
That's you, Madam Mayor. We are working with the Canadian Ramp Company. Part of the tender was to make sure that the drainage was correct and make sure there was no drainage issues. In the past where it is, we haven't seen any wet areas in that spot when cutting the grass. It's more over into right field, I guess, and that's where the sub pumps let out, is on the right field, not center, like it is right beside obviously the drain. So there is spots, as long as we get the water flowing to go into the to drain and out. So I don't see any issues, but I'll definitely have Jeff involved to approve when we get the final design and the final plan of drainage, to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, no, very good. Thank you.
Councillor Westman.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, just wanted to do some announcements about local things that are going on. The Granton Firefighters Breakfast is on the 18th of August at the Granton Fire Halls by donation. The Sable Bayfield Conservation Authority will have its turtle hatchling release on the 29th. And I'll be there providing program, a science program. And also I'll be at Wildwood doing my science and astronomy program on the 31st. So if anybody's interested to come on out, and the kids can actually physically release turtles, and there's a lot of information. There's live turtles there that with people to educate and explain what the process of how we get the hatchlings, how we take care of them, and where we distribute them throughout the watershed. So it's a really good program, and I would invite everybody to come on up and enjoy and stop by and see things through the microscope with me. So thank you.
Great, thank you for that. Any other councillor comments? I was going to mention the Granton Fire Department's breakfast. Unfortunately, some of us will be missing it since we'll be in Ottawa, but that's always a great event. Yes, yes, you can eat our 4 servings. I just also wanted to let everybody know that I guess it's 2 weeks ago now. Ron and I did meet with our new MPP. He and one of his constituency office staff came out for the morning, and we presented him with a package of, Lucan Biddulph, all the things that are happening, opportunities, challenges, and then we were able to actually take him for a tour of the community over to the wastewater treatment plant. So it was great to have him here so that he could get a sense of the needs of what we had, and certainly we're looking forward to continuing to work with him in his office in the couple years to come. With that, if there are no other comments, there's no changes to budget, any notices of motion. So we'll move into the motions for today. The accounts paid motion, which is that the council of the township of Lucan Biddulph receive the attached accounts as paid for information as follows. And that's for July 2024 for a total of $613,545,015. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Westman and Councillor Hodgins, all in favor? And that's carried. And then the Rawlings drain to appoint the engineer that the Township of Lucan Biddulph Council appoint Dobbin Engineering Incorporated under Section 478 of the Drainage Act to prepare a drainage report for the requested work to the Rawlings drain, subject to the required 30 days notice to the applicable conservation authority. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Deputy Mayor Manders and Councillor Regan, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And our bylaws, the first one is at the bylaw 32-2024, which is the Nagel Drive drainage bylaw. And that is to be read first and second time. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Regan and Councillor Hodgins, all in favor? And that is carried. And then if no one cares to speak to bylaws 33-2024 through 35-2024, inclusive on their first, second, and third reading, that they be considered to have been read a first time and passed, read a second time and passed, read a third time and passed. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Westman and Councillor Regan, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Resolved that the council meeting be adjourned at 10:34. Deputy Mayor Manders, Councillor Regan, all in favor?